Hello, lovely beings. Welcome to today's episode of The Autumn Mindset. Tis I, your host and mindset guide, Autumn Oakley. So, today's episode, I wanted to chat about dissociation and freeze mode. So, when we're stuck in chronic freeze, I feel like this is the hardest one to overcome. So, me, in different stages of my life, it wasn't until the past few years that I recognized that I was in freeze mode. I think it is the hardest one to recognize because we disassociate from ourselves. We numb out. We really don't feel like we are embodying, ourselves. We don't really feel like we're actually a part of life. So I feel like this is the hardest one to overcome a lot of the time. And when you're in freeze mode, when you're in, functioning freeze, disassociation, a lot of the time you're just going about life. So it's really hard for other people to recognize that as well, is that sometimes it's hard for other people to recognize that you're in freeze mode because you're just going about doing the things. And, I've been through different stages in my life, but it really was coming to a different awareness that I really came to recognize, oh my God, I'm in freeze. And it's really what I've come to know is the body is in shock. Your nervous system is in shock. It doesn't like where it is. It doesn't feel safe. So I know that a lot of professionals always say, with freeze mode, don't go ahead to rest. Don't go ahead to, stay in freeze. Don't, be on your phone. And I get that. We need to push ourselves out of freeze mode. But what I learned to be true is that I needed that time to, make myself, to the best of my ability in this present moment, feel safe in my environment, in my body, in my nervous system, in my mind. So when you're in freeze, I perceive that as your body really is in shock. And a lot of the time we can't even perceive we're in freeze mode. So if you notice you are really exhausted, sleeping a lot, if you are scrolling, for endless hours throughout the day, if you are feeling you're manifesting a lot of the same, but it's not good. You are feeling like your exterior world, things are kind of crumbling around you. Maybe that is for us to really face, we might be in shock right now. We might be in a state that we are actually in fear. We're in fight or flight, but the fight or flight, has kind of, faded. It didn't work. And now we're just completely in freeze mode. We don't know what to do. So we're just going about our time and our day, disassociating, numbing out, avoiding. And this is a really hard one to come out of, as I said. And there were different periods in my life that I look back and I had no idea that I was in them. So the best recommendation that I, personally in my experience took to overcome freeze, one, I allowed myself that time to sit in the thick of it. And I know we need to push ourselves out of freeze. I'm not saying to just, go, weeks or days doing nothing. We need to be intentional to get really uncomfortable, to push ourselves to do new things, to, book a trip somewhere, to, build something, to really just get ourselves in motion. But when it comes to freeze, we feel unsafe. So that's for us to really go within and face the fact that what is it about myself that I'm not feeling safe? Is it my environment? Is it, what's coming about? And this will help to bring awareness to, what that trigger was that put you in freeze mode. When you're intentional about facing yourself, because we create our reality, and yes, triggers will come about, and triggers are always really hard. And sometimes we're not always aware that there are things in life that are going to trigger us. We can't always expect what's going to come about in life. But it's for us to get intentional and really dig deep within ourselves, to peel back the layers, to really question, what is the element that makes me feel unsafe? Okay, how can I shift my perception, my actions, my embodiment of myself to move forward so that I'm not triggered into this in future, or, whatever that may be. So that's what I mean when there's been different times that I've been in freeze and I allow myself that opportunity to rest. I allow myself that opportunity to sit with myself, to look at what doesn't feel safe in my life right now. Is it my environment? Is it my finances? Is it the beliefs I'm holding on to? Am I in a fear state? Am I in a lack of scarcity? Am I feeling a lot of self-doubt? Am I feeling unseen, unheard in my relationships? Am I just not enjoying my life in general? These are the hard things that we don't want to face that lead to freeze mode, that lead to disassociation. Sometimes when we're living a life that, is a lot of the same, we can fall into freeze. We can fall into disassociation because we're not enjoying our life. It feels truly like the soul is dying. It feels like you're just going about your day and you don't even know where to go. And the longer you're in freeze mode, the more confused you get. So it's really just to sit with it, face the truth of yourself, do the inner work with that. And then, when the moment feels right, as soon as you can, continuously try to every day push yourself in a direction. Push yourself into something, even if the mind tells you, I don't know where to go. Just follow through with something that is connected to that thing that you perceive is bringing you the most, fear in freeze. What is bringing you the most, trauma in regards to this freeze mode that you're embodying. So whatever it may be, maybe it is finances. Okay, what can you do in this present moment to pursue that, to build that? What are the elements of your beliefs and perceptions around money that you need to let go and shift to make these changes every day? What is it about, your environment that has put you into shock? Is it something traumatic that actually came about in your life? Did someone pass? What are the elements that have come about in your experience that put you in this freeze mode that you just physically and mentally do not want to deal with it? That mentally your physical body and your mental state just feels like it cannot cope. Freeze mode is such a hard one to overcome because it's so easy to recognize fight. It's so easy to recognize flight. When you're in fight mode, that was me for decades, in and out of the gym, listening, blaring my music. I was feeling angry. I was letting out repressed, emotions of anger, but I wasn't really healing my mental state. I wasn't facing those things, but you can see that of yourself that you're in fight. Other people in your life can see that you're in fight. When you're in flight, people can recognize that as well. You leave, you flee, you're not answering your calls. There was points in time I literally felt so anxious in life. I would physically leave conversations because I could not have confrontation, that I would communicate with my ex-partner at the time that I love you, but I need to leave and run laps around the block. I just can't be here. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to heal myself, but I physically cannot be here. I'm going more into fight mode. I'm about to have a panic attack. I need to go run blocks. And that's what I would do. I would be literally leaving the apartment, running blocks around the neighborhood until I felt calm in my nervous system to come back. And this is a part of healing, is that when we continue to heal, those things fall off. I've grown out of those states. But when it comes to freeze, I feel like it's the hardest one to recognize because one, it's hard for other people to recognize to help bring that to our awareness. But secondly, most of all, I think it's the hardest for us to even recognize we're in freeze a lot of the time. So we need to push ourselves. We need to do these things. So my best recommendation of what's helped me time and time again, I did allow myself that time to be with myself. I did allow myself time to regulate my nervous system, because if I was in freeze, we need to be real in the fact that if we don't have help, if we don't have, the ability to leave a situation, an environment, if we are feeling really stuck, and we don't know what to do, we need to support ourselves. We need to regulate our nervous system because we don't want to be pursuing and getting out of freeze mode just in an erratic sense, going, flailing around, trying all these different things instead of gaining clarity about the direction we want to go, about clarity about what actually was the cause of it. I need to heal, I need to face, I need to move forward with. So sitting with yourself, allowing a bit of rest to heal your nervous system, feel safe in your environments, feel safe, in your life, in, the elements of yourself, and then really face the really uncomfortable emotional details to really gain an awareness as to what it is that you need to change, what it is that you need to pursue, what is the clear intention that you need to make changes to help you come out of this freeze mode, and then go all in, embody a different self. Just know that what you've experienced that's traumatic, it's not you. It's always unfortunate a lot of the time, but the freeze mode is just, your body trying to protect you. But we can't stay in the freeze mode, because the longer you stay in freeze mode, the more we suffer, the more that we don't allow, things to change, to shift. And it usually just brings us more into a tower moment. It brings on more suffering, more pain, just like anything, right? If we are in depression and we continue with that and we're not looking to make changes, try different things, try to, heal, trying to, put ourselves in different hobbies, different environments, then we just continue to go down that rabbit hole of a deep, dark depression. So the same thing with freeze. We feel stuck, but we don't always feel that we're connected with ourselves, our soul. And that's how I perceive it. Freeze is like disassociation that, one, you're traumatized, but two, the longer you're in freeze mode, it's really like your soul feels like it's dying. And that's where you get confused. You detach from yourself. So those are my 2 recommendations in coming out of freeze mode. And I know it's really hard. It's really painful. But I know that you can, elevate to a better space in your mental and all those details. So I hope that this, unique perception helps you along your journey of healing, growth, and getting to a better space. And know that I love you and send you hugs through the screen.